Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What it is, what it do, what it is. It is your boy, The Grizz, coming at you in the new year with the first video of the new year on the channel. And I definitely want to say thank y'all for rocking with your boy. If you made it this far since I started this channel, like maybe 5-6 years ago, it's crazy, man. I do want to say that before I get into this video, that I am not a licensed professional or anything of that nature. I'm not responsible for anyone's life choices, but this is just advice from a almost 38-year-old man with a 9-to-5 job, a single father, and just I'm your everyday man. You understand what I'm saying? So this is just advice that I have to you gamers with families, or you're just trying to get your priorities straight while enjoying your favorite pastime. So we gonna get into this. So if you've been rocking with me on the channel for most of the duration, you would notice that how many changes the channel has gone through. I was a guy trying to do streaming at some point, a guy just trying to do these videos daily, and hey, it really didn't go anywhere. I didn't get enough motion or whatever, and real life is just too busy. And I started noticing that when I was trying to do it daily, because I hate the editing process, when I was trying to do it daily, I was talking about recording and editing videos on video games more than the video games I was playing. And I was just like, what's the point of that when you sitting there trying to do the work for that field, but you really not enjoying anything in that field? So I said, let me just try to switch this up once again. And before I was doing reviews and everything like that, not to say that that's ending, I definitely enjoy doing reviews. I still got a couple reviews that I might just sit on. That I'm just sitting on, like Nintendo just sits on IP anyway, and PlayStation 2. But anyway, so this video, I want to talk about what has worked for me as a gamer, right? And like I said in the beginning of the video, I am a single father. I work a 9-to-5. I'm your everyday guy. And like currently I'm also in school, so it's just like it doesn't leave, and then I try to go to the gym and squeeze all of that in, so it doesn't really leave much room for a lot of other stuff, And so what I've started doing, right, is setting a certain goal. And this is actually inspired by a friend of mine by the name of TJ, and he actually introduced me to the GG app. I'll put y'all on, I'll definitely post this in the description, because I don't know who came up with the GG app. This is just my boy. He put me onto something. I didn't do much thought, put much thought into it. But on this app, it's like a social, kind of a very light, but kind of a social media thing where you can just pick certain games that you have played, you feel like you will play later, or wish listed, or even if it's you played it and you put it down. And I think that this app has been really helpful, because then it kind of like you have at the end of the year, you have like your top 10 best games that you played, that you felt like you played. And even then you can also toss in games that you didn't finish, that you played and you're gonna finish it, or you can just completely shelve it and you're not interested. And I feel like that app has helped me, and it's given me an idea to help create this video. Is I think for the New Year's gaming resolutions, we should just be realistic with ourselves, right? I'm not saying you can't play stuff like Metaphor. I'm not saying you can't play the Persona games. But if you know you don't have the patience, if you know you don't have the time to play these 90-hour games, then just be real with yourself if you're going to pick those games up. Like, all right, I'm gonna pick it up, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to finish it. It all depends on how much I'm loving it, or maybe my attention span wanes. Like, for me, primarily, I don't really like playing open world games, and I'm not saying that open world games are terrible. I just don't feel like I do well with open world games. If I finish an open world game, it's because it didn't have all of the unnecessary excess stuff in there. Like, it took me years to go back and finish Horizon. I don't know why, but maybe it's just that wasn't really an interesting world to me. But I finished Ghost of Tsushima in one sitting. Granted, it came out in the pandemic, but that was still a great game. People were saying it was empty and stuff like that. I don't know what y'all was expecting to be seeing in that game, but it was just, yeah, open fields. People were at war and stuff like that. Everything doesn't have to be this big, long, 90-hour just throwing content to be thrown on top of content, and it just costs an extra money and stuff like that. I think if people learned more and just listened more about the industry, and you seeing that people are getting fired after like a week of making a game, and that's that. I'm going to talk about a game like that. That happened with Striking Distance. You know what I'm saying? I played Callisto Protocol, and that was the best game that I played last year. Not to say that any other games that came out weren't better, but I don't have time to play Metaphor, or I don't have the patience. First of all, I'm not even a turn-based guy, but I've made certain exceptions here and there. But the thing is, we need to be more realistic with ourselves, right? If you know you ain't gonna be able to, say you want to, just put it this way. This was me. I say I want to at least beat 10 games a year, right? If you aren't realistic with yourself, like me, oh, I can't play an open world game or this 90-hour game, and your goal is to finish 10 games by the end of the year, and you start Metaphor in January, and then maybe you're playing it to like May because it's minimum 90 to 100 hours, and you got a family and you got all these responsibilities. Be real with yourself. I'm not telling y'all not to enjoy it though, because the game does look fire, and I do like what Atlas does, and I played some of not in Metaphor, Persona 5 Royal, thought it was awesome, just wasn't for me. But just be realistic with yourselves. If you know you can't play certain games, put it to the back burner. Maybe you got a little bit of margin for error, because last year, I want to say I actually got a chance to take off some of the backlogs, some of the old backlog. I'm talking about games all the way back to the Dreamcast era, and I absolutely love it. But I also want to say here's this. What I did last year was, I'm really, because this is the first day of the new year, so it's still kind of new to me. But last year, 2024, I primarily played on PC, because I also got a Steam Deck last year as well. And the fact that those two things basically worked how the Nintendo Switch worked, if you're playing stuff directly like within the Steam library, all you got to do is sync to the cloud and your data's there. I was on PC so heavy. Am I against console? Am I sitting there talking about PC is the best platform, yada yada yada? No, I like having all platforms. I'm the type of guy who loves having Android and Samsung and can't stand Apple, but I got to get my hands on some Apple Arcade, because there's games there. I must have every gaming platform available, especially if it's a bustling one. And Apple Arcade stayed with some gems that stuck on there for a while. You had the Fantasian on there, and Oceanhorn 2 was on there, and I wanted to play these games, but I didn't have Apple Arcade. And I think back then it was just like Apple Arcade wasn't like widespread. It was only on Apple devices. Anyway, I spent more time primarily on PC, simply because the sales are always insane, because gaming has gotten so damn expensive. Even the games that I feel might be worth $70 sometimes for me, I still would just probably wait. Like WWE 2K24, nah, I paid $24 for that. I waited for a good sale on that one. But I did spend the $70 on the games that didn't matter. I recently spent money on Black Myth. The last video from the last year I posted on Black Myth. You've seen I've been playing some of that and definitely enjoying it. I also spent, I do want to say it was $70 on Space Marine 2. But then other games were just on sale, and I just went down the list. So here's my list for what happened from 2024, and I'm telling you, it was all over the place. So I actually decided to write it down, and the date and the time, and sometimes if I can get the hour count, I'd get the hour count. So I started off with Spec Ops: The Line, and I beat that all the way back in January, because I played it when it came out, never finished it. And then In February, we had Grand Blue Fantasy. I waited all them years for that game, man. And that's one of the reviews I'm sitting on, man. That's one of the reviews I'm sitting on. I thought that was a fantastic and fun game. It was very, very simple. And then I had Turbo Overkill on PC. So this is what I want to talk about, right? Turbo Overkill is not on any other platform. I actually checked. Maybe it's coming and I didn't realize it. But Turbo Overkill was like $25, $30. And it came out, I want to say, in 2023. And that might have been my game of the year, honestly. It's between that and Callisto Protocol. And I feel like these smaller games get a lot of flack because they're like, oh, I'm not spending $30 on a 10-hour game. I'm like, but what if the game functions fine? What if the game is a tightly knit story and the combat is fine? Why are people always looking for these grand experiences? And I just really feel like it's just, it's not fair. I feel like a lot of people who judge gaming, it's really just not fair. But what I want to say is, once again, let's just go back to the topic at hand, right? All the way back to the topic at hand. That's why I might actually like this structure of her video, because this is really me. I'm all over the place, but I do feel like I'm making some valid points. And if you don't agree, or you agree, you would disagree, you know I want you up in them comments. But let's get back to the task at hand. I made my goal of 10 games last year because I was determined to play 10 games and finish them. And I had to get out of the mind frame of it had to be only the new games and stuff like that. And this is like, we got a backlog of stuff that we just never played, games that came out years ago, right? And matter of fact, I'm gonna just read my list straight through, and you can just realize how all over the place it is. Spec Ops: The Line, Grand Blue Fantasy, Turbo Overkill, Dynamite Cop, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, Bright Memory, Metro 2033 Redux, Space Marine 2, Callisto Protocol, and Astrobot. None of them games are mad long. I want to say maybe on Grand Blue, I spent maybe 30 to 40 hours, maybe even less than that. It was a fun, tight-knit action game. Turbo Overkill, I spent maybe 30 to 40 hours in that game, and that's actually like a lot of time for what I got. In Flintlock, I got 40, 50 hours maybe on that game because it was just fun. You know, it was kind of Souls-like, you know, kind of skill-based, and I'm not really a skilled player. I just enjoy video games. And then Bright Memory was only like an hour. So, like, that's what I'm saying. You got to pad your stuff. If you want to make a certain amount of games a year, you got to pad your stuff with some of these smaller experiences. And then I feel like if people go back to these smaller experiences and be like, oh, no, this is a video game-ass video game. Like, video games are supposed to be fun. They're not supposed to feel like this chore, big open-world games. And then we're going to go back and talk about Astrobot. Some people were mad it got the Game Awards Game of the Year. It is what it is. Astrobot wasn't a bad game. In fact, it was a great game. Because if Mario Odyssey or you know what I'm saying? If Mario could get Game of the Year, I feel, if you're making a good comparable platformer, great comparable platformer, you absolutely deserve the award. And that one was really industry based, but I mean, a lot more people love Black Myth Wukong. I'm getting my ass whipped in Black Myth Wukong, but I understand why it's Game of the Year. It got it for Steam, you know, and I think it got it for the Golden Joysticks as well. So, like I said, these smaller, tighter-knit experiences don't have to be these big $150 million. It don't have to be, man. And just keep it G with yourself. Be real with yourself. And set goals. And I also want to say, matter of fact, that I played Rise of Ronin this year. And that's why I don't mess with open world games. I did not finish that game. But I put 80 hours into it. What the hell, man? That's what I'm talking about as far as being realistic with yourself. So, if you got time, if you feel like this is going to be one of them games I'm sure I'm not going to beat, but I might really just enjoy it. So, I'm just, like, I got literally almost what I paid for. Like, it was a $70 game and I got like 80 hours. In fact, I got some of my money back if you're looking at that, you know? Doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying open world games can't be fun. If you know how to handle open world games and just power through them, absolutely. I also played Atlas Fallen, and that was an indie open world game, and I had mad fun with that. Did not finish it. I be trying to stay away from these open world games. The era of Assassin's Creed that made it worse. Rockstar really like put everybody on, and everybody just said, yeah, nah, we gonna run, but the game got to be bigger. And that's just mad exhausting. So if everything just continues to be open world in these big sprawling games, I'm just gonna have every year I'm gonna have a top 10 list of games that I finished just like this one every year, because I'm not gonna be playing no freaking big sprawling open world for everything. I absolutely loved Rise of Ronin. That combat was fun, the story was interesting, and the whole creative character thing, and it was really, really enjoyable. But it wasn't the game for me. It honestly wasn't the game for me. But like I said, keep it 100, keep it a buck with yourself, and set them realistic gaming resolutions. If you know you got a family, you got responsibilities, and you know all you can afford to do, not even afford to do, if you know if you only got time to play a quick game of 2K, you can play a quick game of 2K. But if you want to pick up a game where you got an hour or two every night, you could play Spec Ops: The Line. You could play Space Marine 2, Callisto Protocol, Astrobot, or even Black Myth, where you could just say, let me fight at least 2 bosses and then I go to bed. Yo, ain't nobody gonna knock it, but keep it G with yourself. But I want to say thank y'all so much. I thought I was gonna do this in segments, but I just straight up let the ADHD help me power through. And I'm so excited. I'm stuttering over here. This is the first video for the year, and I'm really, really hoping that you, my friend, that are listening to this, have a great new year and a happy one to you and your family, and a prosperous one. We are 5 years removed from the pandemic almost now, and it's time to move on to bigger and better things to the best of our ability, and be the healthiest we can be, the best that we can be. And also play some games while we're doing all that. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, definitely hit that like button. And if you disagree, holler at me in the comments and let's have a healthy conversation. And you can follow me on different forms of social media. That's Facebook, and there is Twitter, so we can just go back and forth, have a nice conversation. I appreciate y'all for rocking with your boy. If you made it through this 16-minute-ish video, this video is finito.